Okay, the last week we did not have classes. Previous we discussed theory of production and the theory of production and also we discussed. Today we'll continue. Before we start, quickly look at what we discussed the last time. And after we discussed the short-term decision, based on the marginal and average cost behavior, we found the 3 stages of production. And the second stage, the producers take the decision, which means the second stage, the producers decide to recruit labor or any other input except fixed input. But we used to take capital and labor, capital as constant, labor as variable, then the labor recruit this. So after that, about the long run, when you come to the boundaries of the second and third stage, firms think of long run. When the long run comes, we discuss 2 instruments. One is the isoquant curve. The important few things about the isoquant curve: the marginal rate of technical substitution, that is the slope of the isoquant curve, that is declining, and apply the diminishing the marginal reducing marginal return or productivity using the second stage. Because of that, isoquant curve has positive slope. The other thing also we must remember, along the isoquant curve, everywhere produces technically efficient. Now, what we have to look at the optimization, economic efficiency, for that, in addition to technical efficiency, producers must be in line with the allocative efficiency. We need to understand another instrument we'll call isocost curve. Isocost curve, that is about the budget in the 2 cost side and the expenditure side, with the labor and the capital cost. And the 2. Together, we derive the isocost curve here like this. And there, we notice that the producers reach this optimal point. Here, the point B, point A and B are technically efficient, but not the allocative efficient. The economic efficiency reached this point E. Where the producers can reach to this point, either minimize subject given amount of output, let's say 80. So given amount of output. How to do that, we will discuss today. And or maybe the producers try to, that's one way maybe producers do. Other way maybe producers try to maximize output. The objective to keep as the output maximization, but subject to given budget. Subject to given budget. Either way, reach to same point. Now, the second one, if you If I try to quickly draw here, given level of budget, and this budget is given amount, let's say $100 per day. Now producers try to maximize the output, like somewhere, let's say 60, somewhere let's say 80, somewhere let's say 100. Now that process also, you see, if you take this budget ISO cost line, allocate efficiency there. So even some firms can produce point A or B because enough budget there, but 60. But they allocate to an economic technical efficient producers using 100, they reach to point E, they produce 80. So the economic efficiency as previous case, you can see the same condition. So because of that, this is what we call duality. If you try to look at the reached 100, it's not possible, not enough budget. So in that way, the optimal point reached here. With that, I hope we start to discuss the cost side also with you. And if I remember clearly, there are the costs when you look at the total cost in case of two variable case. Now, what does mean short run? The one constant keeping the situation short run. If both input change time period, what we call, there's no fixed variable or fixed input. They are what we call long run. Now, if we take the short run situation, assuming that I discuss those things, I don't discuss detail. Assuming that here you can see the total cost and the short run situation, this become the variable cost. This become fixed cost. Total cost. If you draw sorry, sorry, this is total cost, the variable cost. If you try to get the understanding, the fixed cost is, you can see the shape of the curve because it's a short fixed cost. and the total cost, and the variable cost. So the cost curve like this, and the different here, fixed cost. So same as here. Now, find the average cost. What you have to do, divide this total cost by Q. So then both sides. In that way, we can get average total cost, average variable cost plus average fixed cost. So usually the pattern of the average cost curves are U-shaped. So you get the average variable cost, average total cost, and also average fixed cost. So if you take the first equation to get average cost, which means the third equation, to get the average total cost, WL divided by Q, you get the average variable cost plus RK divided by Q, you get the total fixed cost. So now another important concept what we discuss also, the marginal cost. To get marginal cost, that is the slope of either total cost curve or total variable cost. So what we had to do, differentiate the total cost with respect Q or the variable cost differentiate with respect Q. So in that way, we get the marginal cost curve. The marginal cost curve also U-shaped. To understand the relationship, marginal cost always go to the minimum point of the average cost curve, cross like that. Cut line and the crossing. So this relationship we look at, average cost goes down, decreasing. The marginal cost is less than average cost. Marginal cost is less than the average cost. Now, the other point, look at the average cost, positive slope, it will mean average cost increase, the marginal cost greater than average cost. So that relationship important for your exam. That point here, which means the minimum point, average cost. There the average cost equal the marginal cost. So that relationship you have to understand. So now I'm going to show that relationship. I think I did not discuss with you the relationship. This may be for the exam purpose. Between average cost and marginal cost. Average cost and marginal cost. Now we will start with the, let's say, again I draw here. I'm going to draw only the one average cost curve for the all same. This is the average cost curve I name here. And the marginal cost curve come and the minimum point and go like marginal cost. So relationship between, we'll see average cost. You know how to find average cost. Cost divided by Q. Cost divided by Q. Now if we take the here the C divided by quantity is the average cost. So if you took this short run situation, you can see the average cost equal W L then divide by Q. WL divided by Q. Now, if you take the first equation here, I can rewrite like this also. C equal AC Q. C equal AC Q. Now find the marginal cost. What you have to show, differentiate this with respect. Differentiate this with respect Q. For that, you must understand average cost also the function of L and capital. So you have to apply the chain rule. So to get the marginal cost, what you have to differentiate the total this cost with respect Q. There you get the marginal cost. So when you differentiate this is also function of, this is function of Q, also function of L and Q. So answer you get so what you got here when you differentiate this one with respect Q, that then marginal cost equal this equation what you got. Here if you look at carefully, this part is the slope of the average cost curve. Slope of the average cost curve. Now look at here. If the slope is equal to 0, if the slope equal to 0, what happened to be this equals here? This becomes 0, then the marginal cost must equal to average cost. So that happened here only, pointing. Now, second point we look at. Second point we look at, if the slope is positive, slope of the average cost curve is positive. So we are talking about the range here after a positive slope. Now you can see is this positive. For example, let's say here 2 slope to some number here, let's say average cost is 3. 3 plus 2 is the marginal cost 5. So you can see the average cost is less than the marginal cost in case of positive slope side. Now, third point, the second point, what we are talking about, the area here, you can see the marginal cost is greater than average cost. Now, third point apply to area here before A, slope is negative, average slope is negative. Negative slope average cost. So which means if I put here some value here, the slope is negative. Some amount, let's say we have the quantity 5. So that 5 times become this negative 10. So here 3 down. So you can see the marginal cost must be less than the average cost if satisfy this equality. So these 3 situations you can see here, the third point here, the marginal cost is less than the average cost. Now you can see this relationship. The initially declining, the marginal cost is greater than the average cost. Sorry, marginal cost is less than average cost. It comes to the minimum point average cost, the marginal cost equal average cost. Then the marginal cost greater than the average cost. Now here, let's say you have a workers, you pay salary equal to, let's assume equal to average cost. So the average cost coming, but we spend per person. Now this range, I put some number here, like circle here, this range. Is the marginal cost less than average cost. So additional the workers, the demand you do less than that. So the profitable, and you can see. Now the production side also, if you link this to the production side, if I draw that to the other side, new slide, is the production curve, average production curve. If you remember, you get the shape like this, average production curve. Now, the average cost curve is a just reflection of mirror reflection of average production curve. Now, if you remember, we identify, sorry, before that, look at the marginal product curve. Marginal product curve. Come like that. The marginal cost curve also just a reflection of so this is marginal product. Reflection of a marginal cost curve. Now, what I tried to say, you might remember, we identify 3 stages of the production in the production side. Production side. Now, in the second stage, the producers take the decision and this, if you look at the marginal product increase, here the average cost decreasing. The marginal product decrease, the average cost increasing. Average cost increasing. The same thing, the marginal product increase, marginal cost decrease. So it's a reflection of a coin, the both sides. The point is, if a producer try to maximize product, automatically producers minimize cost. So that's the point what we have to look at. Now, this relationship. So I'm going to put this relationship between the marginal product curve and the marginal cost curve, the relationship between average product and average cost curve. So that's the relationship. Now we start with the, again draw the diagram here to understand clearly. Now look at here the marginal product, the average product. So average cost curve, the relationship. So what we are going to do, this relationship. Now how to find the average cost if you're given the total cost, let's say the total variable cost with the same step. Fixed cost, when you divide by, again, the fixed amount, we take only this entity. To find the average cost, what you have to do, divide by Q, which means this side also you have to divide by Q. Now with that you get here average cost. Here you get W L Q. WLQ. Now if we just look at the third equation, the second part of the third equation, if you look at here, LQ, no meaning of course, maybe for you. But you might,
in this case,
yeah,
now cost equals wage rate into labors. Now, what will happen to the fixed cost on the capital
yeah,
here?
that I leave it out, but you can add here RA
Okay,
because it's a short-term situation. If you look at this constant,
it's
so
a
that
fixed
is the
cost.
solid fixed cost. So I
Okay,
leave it
clear.
out. Or the long run, if you take this cost, the one component. So if you take the like, if you can say the all the input like cost here, the let's say uh, I as the input prices, all the other input if you put kind of X or something, then the average cost you can see I X divided by Q. Quite similar thing. X is here all the input. This simplify here to take only L. Maybe you can use the all the input, right? So average cost what you find all the total inputs, their cost and divide by Q. So that understanding, but the question is good. That base, I use only L to explanation purpose, but the others also you can add. So the point here, let's say you all the input here, L consider as all input. So here also all the input divide by Q. So now this term what we use here is not familiar to us. Maybe is no meaning also, I don't think. But we know this term Q divided by L. So that is the average product of labor. Average product. Now, now you can see the similarity, this and this one, which means that L divided by Q is, I can write as 1 divided by AP. 1 divided by AP. So if I take this replace here, now this third equation I can rewrite average cost equal W divided by AP, average product. So you get average product curve here, you get average product. Now imagine here, look at the situation, wages market driven and the fixed. Given wage, average product increase. To satisfy this equality, this must be decreased. At what happened here, you can see average product increase, average cost decrease. The opposite, if you look at average product decrease, to satisfy this equality, average cost must increase. So we are talking about this range here, this range. The third one, if they say the average product come to the maximum point, if this AP come to the maximum point, since this is constant, the average cost must be minimum. So we are talking about here point A directly come the minimum cost curve A. Now look at here, the production side, we understood the long run situation. If you take the long run situation, if you take this range, this happen, increase in return to scale. Increase in return to scale. So this happen decrease in return to scale. So here the maximum and the constant point, the constant return to scale. Now, while the cost side, we explain concept called return to scale, increasing, constant, and decreasing. The cost side, we look at the same thing with a different name. Here, we call economics of scale. To here, the economic scale. So then further, we call diseconomies of scale. Diseconomies of scale. Here, when you reach to constant return to scale, here we come to the minimum point, that's what we call minimum efficient scale. So the relationship you can see how this happens. Now, next I try to show you the relationship between the marginal product and the marginal cost. Now, if I draw here the relationship between marginal product and the marginal cost. Midterm or final exam, this I can give you, and I hope you start to working for the midterm test at the end of the semester. So I give only from production and cost side. So I would say the paper is not easy one. You have to work and get some marks. Now look at the production side. Then the cost side. The production side, the marginal cost curve. Marginal cost curve goes like that. That's the marginal product. In the marginal cost curve also opposite shape and go like this. Reflection, mirror reflection. Now, if you look at the relationship here, just already mentioned, how to get the marginal cost. We know the differentiate the total cost with respect Q, or differentiate the variable cost with respect Q, you get the marginal cost. The marginal cost is, let's say, this one. We know variable cost is W, L. I'm going to differentiate this one with respect Q. When you do, this is constant term compassed because not applied to differentiation. Differentiate with respect L respect Q. So that's what we got, which means the marginal equal W, that means the factor price. The part is here Q. And in this part, again, not familiar to you. Second part of this component of second part. But you must know how to get this one from the total production function, differentiate with respect L. So in that case, this become W by L over W by Q become 1 divided by marginal product. So if we apply this and rewrite this equation, you get the MC equal W divided by MP. So MC equal W divided by MP. That's what you got right so far. Now look at here also, W is constant because it's given. Then the marginal product increase. Since it's a constant, this must decrease. So that exactly happened. When this increase, this decrease. And opposite, the marginal product decline, decreasing, this must increase because this is constant. So that exactly happened here, decrease, here increase. Another point, if marginal product come to the maximum point, we are talking about the point is here A. Now if from this maximum point, this must be minimum. The marginal cost must be minimum point. Must be minimum. I hope you got the point and you understood the relationship. Okay. Now, if any questions, if you have any question. Okay, look like no questions. Now, one thing what we have to understand, like I explained before, if you take the long run situation, you have long run average cost curve and the long run marginal cost curve. Long run marginal cost. And also we know that this point, the economic of scale point, after that the average cost increasing, slope increasing, that is diseconomics of scale. And we must understand as a firm, because if you take the long run, this is about the expansion of the firm. It's about the expansion of the firm. You must understand now why a firm get this economics of scale when expand the firm certain level. Why the economic scale? And also you must understand why this economic scale happen. That is the important thing to understand. Now, there are two ways the economic scale happen. One way we call internal economic scale. Second, the other way, not the second, external economic scale. Internal and external economic scale. What does mean internal economic scale? What does mean external economic scale? I'll start with explaining external economic scale. Let's imagine you have a firm in a particular industry. Your firm find new technology, new thing, new ways to reduce the average cost like that. To reduce the average cost like that. Certain maybe lab technology managerial point go to other firms also in the industry or the other industries as well. Let's say two firms, the one industry, A and B, and the C also another firm, the same industry. Same industry. Let's say the industry 1. There are some other industries also, industry 2, industry 3 like that. There are firms also we have, let's say Z, XY, and the industry 3 also, let's say firm have E, Q, S like that. Now let's say you have a firm, the B firm, since you become large, you are capable of introducing new technology, new managerial capacity, those things. Whatever you do new thing to improve the productivity, gradually it's moved to other firms on the industry and also the other industries also. So your industry as well also. The other firms in your industry. Gradually what happened, all these firms also will able to reduce average cost. But that happened, they did not identify new thing. Since the firm B become big and become efficient and new thing, through the spillover effect. Other firm in the same industry and the firms in the other industry also getting benefit. We call externality, positive externality. So that's what we call external economic scale. It's kind of industrial cluster. Industrial cluster. So industry work as a cluster, that's the base for industrial estate or industrial zone development. But in the Sri Lankan content, I don't think so. The policymakers really got that point and developed industrial estate at that point, that base. So for example, I remember, even some of you are not born, Sampath Bank is the one who introduced the teller machine. Within couple of months, even the year, all the other banks also got that technology and introduced. Because the firms are competitive. So because of this teller machine, not only the banking industry, but where you work, other industries also improve their efficiency. Because now you don't need to go to bank and teller machine, you can withdraw. Before that, the long queue and things. So even not in the banking industry, others also get benefit. So that happened, the external economic scale. Now from A, like B, you produce same thing. But from A, you don't do new technology. But after a few months, since B got the new technology, from A, you also get through externality. So that's what we call external economic scale. Internal economic scale, the one I tried to explain with the firm B. Now imagine you have a very small firm, only 2 people work. Whatever the product, imagine, let's say the bakery. All the things the other oil and all the matters, machine and baking and all the thing you have to do with these people. Everything. Now this firm become, let's say the bakery become little bit large. Let's say about 20 people work. Now as a manager, you can distribute specific work among workers. We call division of labor. Now with the division of labor, what happen automatically improve the productivity and the cost down. They work as a team also. That's also improve and the cost down. And also, when you become the larger firm, maybe they start division, small, specialized division. Human resource management, maybe you can say. You can say the marketing division. You can say the technology division. Likewise, the division. They have their own managers also, own workers. They specialize for that. With the division of labor, specialize this teamwork. Help to improve productivity, reduce the average cost. So that's what we call internal economic scale. That happened, internal economic scale. But you can see that after firm become too big, it start to diseconomic scale. Why that? Let's say the firm is become bigger and bigger. Work is around 20,000 workers. So too big handle. You need to maybe around 200 managers. Here maybe 3 managers you can do. So the board meeting with the 3 managers and pass the message and others really get the message. The 200 managers, even you have to divide another maybe managers, maybe let's say 30. Again maybe another management. Now the top direct board passed the message to top managers, 5 managers. They had to pass the second layer of managers, we call assistant managers, or third layers managers. Go to ground level. This message, if you say somebody don't kill, we don't understanding, ground level maybe understand, quickly kill. What happened, Aradil, you remember British region, that happened. So that created this economic scale. Quickly, what I mentioned, I will show you in my PowerPoint presentation. Quickly, yeah. Now, long run situation, cost side. I hope you can see here. The cost curve is like that. Economic scale, minimum efficiency scale, this economic scale. Now here, the economic scale, average cost reducing, decline as output increase. So we got the economic scale. Then start to this economic scale. Here, average cost increasing, and that happened, this economic scale. Now the reason for the economic scale, like I explained, external economic scale. That happened through the industrial cluster. The basically we call it spillover effect or externality. Spillover effect, externalities. So this is a very good area to study your master or PhD thesis also. More the research. The other internal economic scale that comes through all the channel. You have separate technical, marketing, financial, because then become certain team. Their job is to find specialize those area. Administrative, human resources. With that, the firm get benefit. Now it's happened. when you come to this economic scale, like I mentioned, two big handle coming coordinator problem and is a strong maybe room for corruption commission also, the transportation issues, the gap between really asymmetric information. So those reasons this economic scale happen. Now if you look at here, in the diseconomic scales, in that case, you may try to conclude that the firm up to this point, firms never expand. Maybe the final exam you think, if your firm reached to this point, like you put the ball here, cricket ball, you drop the plane and you settle down here. Your firms also settle down here. So after that, you mean in industrial world, entrepreneurs, they stop their work. So then think of what they do. In practical, some cases before the exam, they come to this optimal minimum efficiency scale level. What firm they do? Avoid this economic scale. Find some cases before the exam. Okay, that's up to you. But as an industrial economist, I can see industrial world change based on this concept. Now you can come with me and go with me as you can see 1950, 1960, even the early 17, all industrial firms try to build up themselves. What does mean? What we call one umbrella firm. Under one umbrella, everything. What does mean under one umbrella? Need all the input, including labors even, to build themselves. Even if you look at the family workers, family members also they look after. Now, the simple example, car company, whatever need car company, let's say the company name like Toyota, whatever need for car, they try to bring under their roof, what we call hierarchy. So what happens when you become bigger and bigger in that way? When they try to do administrative costs increase, unnecessary administrative costs increase. Because the coordination problem like this economic range, they come to the economic range. Now from look back then, because like I mentioned, they put the ball. Long run average cost curve. Now if you put a ball like come into this economic range, it come back and settle down. The industrial world also that's happened from one umbrella concept, hierarchy. Then they reach to there, they try to depend on the second stage. This happened 1970 later, 1980, even the 1990, especially 1980, early 1990. They tend to depend on, let's say the car company keep a small level, necessary small item input, buy from the market. Now let's say the car company here, buy from the market, there are 1,000 of small firm. 1,000 of small firm. Like this. So 1,000 of firm. The other part, let's say the car need a carpet or a small thing, or maybe side mirror. Side mirror produce 10,000 of producers, a small producer. In the administrative cost increase, they think they can buy cheaper from these places. Now, what happened when they try to buy, because they also try to maximize their profit, the gap here. The mother firm A, has a gap, real cost and real quality of the real price and quality of this product. Because of that, when you buy, you have to deal with all the 1,000 per 1,000, 2,000, 1 lakh, all the things. I mean, you might have a separate department here. Those negotiation, find a good quality. Like, for example, someone, let's say, lady want to buy a good sari. Nowadays, you start from the Maharagama and all the way go to Petra and the Kiribati, like that whole journey, not only 1 day, 2 days. So for a one sari, because of you don't know the quality and good price, everywhere Nugget also is, and somewhere you stop in different places and go. So this involve this process some additional cost because of the information, what we call SMStic information. SMStic information. That cost become higher. That's what we call transaction cost. Now, for example, sari you want to buy a 20,000, well, it's sari. This cost, the transaction cost, what I mean, including traveling, you have to go with someone, all the cost may be around another 1,000. So the transaction cost have to become increase and increase. So when you try to depend market, now the trade-off come in the administrative cost and the transaction cost. When try to depend on the market, this increase, when go back, try to depend on the hierarchy, this increase. So I developed my PhD research problem also. So now you can see that 1990, 2000, this period firm tried to come to the middle kind of solution we call hybrid solution. It's called networking. Networking. So that is the point what I did my PhD, the network concept. Network to subcontract another way, pick up one negotiation and build a network. So in that way, the transaction costs also reduce, administrative costs also reduce. So you can see that 2010, 2000, this period also this is happening because of this. Now, the market and hierarchy, this concept introduced by the Williamson, his book called Hierarchy plus Market. In 1972, he got the Nobel Prize for that. That's what he identified the trade-off between administrative cost and transaction cost. Now, my PhD thesis also, I did not address not one thing. Maybe you can do that, your thesis or your PhD, and reach to this middle point, kind of hybrid solution networking as a solution, but building network also. Network cost. Network means not IT network. Network with the other firms, other companies. In case of a small firm, maybe even the people. That networking also involve cost. Now we have to these type of cost for networking, transaction cost, and administrative cost. Trade-off happen all these things. So somebody have to look at what happened next. The network cost also is increased more than the transaction. Of course, happen this economic scale and the economic scale point. Now, my question, why I asked, if firm reach to this point and move to this economic, what kind of strategies the firm adopt to bring back to the economic scale level, for the unit cost increase in that way. You can't, in Sri Lankan content, you can't see this one because the most of the government intervention, even the private firms is the rich economic scale produce somewhere here, point A, they approach policymakers and politicians, they try to price somewhere here. And also the firm level, they are not much competitive. Competition also, they keep that also even without government intervention. But the government, genuine government, what we have to look at, policymakers, if firms produce and price in point A, government should develop a policy strategies, bring back price to the minimum efficient scale point. For that environment, the policy environment, government must create that policy environment. But instead of that, getting commission, our politician and policymakers let the private firm go here. For them, they maintain the profit. Only the consumers suffer, customers suffer. So, any question?
So normally, what sort of policies that the government would make now to become more cost efficient for a company?
Yes, several things. I can't exactly say what right now different industry depend on, but the main thing overall what I can say that you prepare a good enabling business environment, including without and without commission also, because the most of the private firms happen because of this commission. You see, if you are working private firm, get the government or the other deal, you have to give the policy makers and even the ministry secretary and the law people some at the end of the year even, maybe each transaction, give us some package. I remember some time back, I think, I don't know, the last week, like also I mentioned, I do research, the one that is the public organization of the private sector. Somebody approached me and they offer me the budget. Let's say they say there are 2 million, but the same officer same time told me that you have to give 5 lakhs to the chairman. So you can see in that way they keep the 2 million budget here somewhere here, but exactly the same product we can do 1.5 million. It's happened. So we have to change this environment. One way. In some cases also reach this economic scale, government can introduce or create an environment to improve technology, research and development. That also the one. And you see the reason why this economic scale too big to handle. So that maybe the one way is to introduce the technology. Right now we have the digital and online, for example. Now in Sri Lankan case, if you do online businesses and online transaction, it's expensive than the physical thing. For example, lectures also right now. If you do online lectures, of course, the university, for us, internet cost and our computer cost and everything. In the Sri Lankan case, because internet charge is very high, so these are costly. But the thing is, introduce this kind of online thing also, it's a reduce this coordination gap and minimize the cost. There are several policies the government can introduce if the government really wants, but it not happen. because the government, they try to enjoy their personal life and things. So with that, when you talk about the external business environment, I want to tell you what thing I saw yesterday also. Yesterday, school time, 1:30 school usually close in 1:30 to 2 o'clock. I was in the very busy junction in the Colombo somewhere, and the school children really raining and they wet and the traffic everywhere. So very difficult, they get wet. And one politician came, I don't know the prime minister or one minister, but the police, they came and all the traffic block and let him go. And 10 minutes, those children get wet. And I mean, this is the country. So that politician, but if his child was there, he may not doing that. So all the road closed, let him go. With the band of police and the army officers, that's the way. So it's in that way, look at the private businesses also suffer. This kind of external policymakers we have right now. So any other question? Okay.
Professor, you said there are strategies that are used by companies in order to make sure that they don't go to diseconomies of scale. Other than using technology, what are the others? Like creating subsidiaries, could it be considered as a strategy?
Not a firm subsidy given by the government.
No, not subsidies, not subsidiaries. Creating, like if a company is growing big, creating subsidiaries as subdivisions, is it?
Yeah, that's what had happened. But again, the subdivision is came to again one umbrella. Now with the umbrella and also this coordination between subsidiaries also the matter, and that involves administrative cost. So firm doing this one, then give a little bit independent. Like you see the universities sometime back in Sri Lanka, you can't see universities and start and some university college also around. So a little bit independent also, but as to the, for example, Oxford University and the Cambridge University in that way. So that doing that, what you said, this might be correct in some industry. And also, if you look at the concept called economy scale, one of the things firm use producing multi-product, because this apply the single product, unique product. Here, when you raise the same firm, same capital, same technology, you can use to another product also. For example, bakery producing bread and cake or some other thing also. So we call economy scope. So we go for that way the multi-product, so many examples. The economy scope also there. Now let me show here. The economy scale come. The diseconomy scale come. So after that, the firm reach maybe one strategy they use more than two product, more than one product. Go for there apply economy scope, but that also has certain limit because there are also diseconomy scope coming. Producing multi-product, you might know so many examples. University research and training, and the cars and trucks companies, and like a certain Pepsi and these companies, maybe your own company doing. So there we get again the economy scope and the diseconomy scope. When you come to the diseconomy scope, like you said, or like I mentioned, firm need different strategy again. So that I leave for you for the final exam. Understand? You mentioned something, division, I mentioned something, maybe pick up some cases for the final exam, I leave for you. Another thing, look and here, use the experienced workers to reduce the cost. That's what we call experience or learning curve. That's why nowadays you can see some of the retired person like to be recruited. Because even the 55 or 60 age person right now, if you look at the 1950, 1960, 60 years person, and now 60 years person, 2020, 60 years person is equal to 1960, about 40 year person, because there is a physical strength and the health and all the reason, because here 60% maybe live 90 years. For example, Japan now average age is 100, like that. 1960 usually the average living is about 72. With that 60-year person, you drop, the government drop as a retire. Here the average is strongness about the 40-year person in 1960. So recruiting those experienced people, what happened, you can do if you're without experience. I draw here. Some firm without experience, you get average, long run average cost curve like that. Recruiting experienced people or get experience by your workers, average cost curve drop like that. The same technology, same input, only getting long run average cost curve. Let's say this is someone without experience, firm running the operate without experienced worker. This pay with experienced workers. So you can see that also happened. Concept capture a curve, what we call learning curve, because you're getting experience. That experience also help to reduce the unit cost. So based on that, we draw a curve called learning curve. Number of hours worked and the cumulative the production. Now with that happen, you see what I explained. This is the economic scale, average cost. Let's say without experience. Point A to move point B due to economic scale. So firm try to keep the economic scales, maybe recruit the experienced workers. When you recruit the experienced workers, what happens? You shift down the average cost curve, you move to A to C. Using strategy, both economic scale strategy as well as this, the firm move, get the unit cost down. You see? This is another way to handle. So, any question? Anything? Now, another thing, what I discuss and also producers reach economic scale. So there we start, reach to economic scale has to do two things, technical efficiency and allocative efficiency. We know technical efficiency, you got here the isoquant curve. Let's say the produce 80. Wherever produced on the curve, 80, producers are technically efficient. using given resources and technology. Now, the allocated efficiency we can explain through iso-cost curve. Iso-cost curve is the cost involved, WL K equals C. So this, if you apply here, you can draw the iso-cost curve. Like that. Now, along this curve, what we call iso-cost curve, is replacing the allocative efficiency. Now, separately, you get allocative efficiency through iso-cost, the technical efficiency. Both the economic efficiency, the producers has to reach to this point. So there are point B, the producers get economic efficiency. Now, for example, let's say the point A, though producers are technically efficient to produce 80, let's say here $200 budget, allocate resource efficiently, the producer can produce $100. So in that way, the economic efficiency point here, the B. So what strategy producers use here, minimize the strategy producers to minimize the cost minimization given amount of output. That means subject to given amount of output. In this case, the 80. Output is given to produce minimum budget. So that's the one strategy producer used to reach this economic efficiency point. Or maybe some producers use the different strategy. Let's say here, they try to maximize the output. Let's say Q here, 50. Q2 here, 80. Q3 here, 100, like that. They try to maximize the output. When you try to do, you can see the constraint is there, cost. You have to do in the $100 budget. You have to do $100 budget. The given budget, even $100 budget, you can produce here the point A, you are allocated efficient. With the point A, if you look at the same iso-cost curve, but still you produce 50. But $100, if you look at point here, you can produce 80. So though you are allocated efficient, in this case you are not technically efficient, only here technically efficient. Both. So there the producers use strategy to maximize output. Maximize output. Which means the producer try to go this direction, but the subject to constraint they are subject to the given cost. Here 100. So either using the second strategy or the first strategy, finally producers reach to economic efficiency. When they reach the economic efficiency, what happened from expand? Look at the, I go to next slide. The firm expand, what happened? They expand their budget, increase the budget, isocon curve like this. So firms, the different size reach to optimal point, economic efficient point, A, B, C, like that. So those are the path of expansion. We call expansion path. Expansion path. Now, when the firm expand like that, initial stage, we discussed some time back, increase in return to scale initially, come to constant return to scale, then come to decrease in return to scale. Decrease in return to scale. Whatever scale, constant increase in, firms are in the economic efficient. Moving along this expansion path, the blue line I'm going to draw with the red color here. This red color line, expansion path, whatever return to scale, producers are economically efficient. Now, how to get there? The economic efficient producers, they can improve the profit. One way is to maximize, like I said, output given budget, like that, pretty clear. So they are instead of maximize output, what they try to do, maximize profit. Maximize profit. Now we know the profit is defined clearly, revenue minus cost. So if you solve this problem, we can find at the maximum profit, how many labors, how many capital firm recruit. How many labors, how many capital firm recruit. So that's what you're going to do. The maximum value profit function we try to find. Maximum value profit function. So I will do next week, how to get the maximum value profit function. The other side, other strategy producers use to minimize cost like this, but the given amount of output. So here, some producers try to minimize as objective cost. But subject to given output. So there we derive minimum value cost function. So we will do next week these two. Minimum value cost function. And today, the last point, let's say producer, whatever minimization or maximization, the optimal point, they got here, isopont curve, let's say produce some amount, isocost curve here. So point here, the optimal point, point E. This is labor, this is capital. The point E, you know, the condition satisfy MRTS, that's the slope of the isoquant curve, the slope of the isocost curve, W. So this is the slope of the isoquant curve, isoproduct curve. This is the slope of the isocost curve. Now, there you can find the exam also, midterm exam I gave you, how many number of labors, the capital, you recruit this optimal point. For example, let's say our production function is, I get the simple LK, simple production function. The labor rate is, let's say, $4. R is, let's say, $2. Let's say the total cost is $20. Now, how to get this point? MR is equal W R. We know MR is the slope of the, we discussed sometime like this, marginal product of labor divided by the marginal product of capital. So with that production function, we can find marginal product of labor. So what we have to do, differentiate this production function with respect L. If you differentiate, you get the answer K. The marginal product of capital, you differentiate the production function with respect K, you get this particular equation differentiate, you get the L. So MR is what you have to do in MPL divided by MPK. In MR is what you get here, this particular example. K divided by L. So now what we have to do, satisfy this condition, we got the MRPS, that is the K divided by L. W is given here, 4. R is given here, 2. So this first we call first order condition or necessary condition, what we call. Now we got the first order condition, this equation, which means 2K equal 4L, the first order condition equation, what we get. Now we need another equation to find K and L because the two unknown. For that we can got from the budget because this information. We know the total cost curve, so that become the second equation what we get. If you write the second equation, we know W is 4. We don't know L. R is 2. We don't know K. C is 20. This is second equation. If you plug the equation 1 to second, for example, 2 equal 4L, instead of 2K, we can write here 4L using the first equation, which means the 4L plus now instead of 2K, I write the 4L because that is equal 20, which means the 8L equal 20. L now, what we get 2.5. Labor, what you get here. So now with This equation you can find the K also, because the 2K equal OL, then the multiply 2.5. Here, K equal 5. So the optimal combination of labor and capital 5, labor 2.5 to get done. So the exam you should be able to do that. And now you can find at this point how many units the producer can produce, the optimal point. Because you know the production function, Q is given LK. And now to find Q, we know L is 2.5, is 5. Let's multiply 2.55, you get 12.5. In the production, the optimal point you get. So next time we go further, let's say the budget 20 increase. Let's say you were given $50 per day to produce. The budget expand like this, $50. So new situation. So midterm test, I give exercise like this. Midterm test, I give exercise like this. After changing these parameters, you should be able to find new situation. Those production function, with those production function, one maybe in the exam I'll give you like this. The midterm test, maybe this one. Or maybe I give you this production function. Or maybe we give another third one. Here the exam, other information I'll give you, I give W, I give R value, I give CO quantity. Now let's say the first, after go homework, you do the first one. The first one, let's say the first equation, if I give you W is 5, R is 10, the cost is, let's say, 100. The other, all the second equation, same thing, 5, 10, 100. Third equation, you try with as homework, definite exam, I will give you this. This is 5, this is 10. I don't give cost, but I give the produce, let's say, 8 unit. I don't know what kind of answers come. You try those things as homework before the midterm test. So, optimal. With that, I'll stop today. If you have any question, please ask me right now. Otherwise, I can leave the meeting. You can leave the meeting. Any questions? Anything?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. Thanks. Bye. Have a nice weekend.
Bye.
Yeah, bye.